Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole. My name is Chad, and I'm going to be your naturalist for the morning. I hope everybody's having a lovely Thursday morning. Here we are at Jamala in Madikwe Private Game Reserve. It seems like it's a pretty hot day, and you can see not too many clouds in the sky. You got two elephant bulls down at the water. Just a reminder to all our viewers that this is a live and interactive show. So please feel free to send through your questions on our website, or you can even join the conversation on X using the hashtag WildEarth. And I'll be happy to answer those questions for you and interact with you. It does seem like these two elephant bulls have just come down towards the water for their mid-morning drink. But why don't we have a look at the weather and see what's happening at the different locations? Does seem like quite a hot day in some of the locations. I know in Juma and the Sabi Sands, it was raining cats and dogs this morning. Um, it does seem like it is still raining out at Juma, but there's also quite a lot of wind that side. But basically on the other side of the country here at Madikwe, seems like it's a beautiful sunny day. You can see there on the left of screen these two elephant bulls. Often, and I say two elephant bulls, some people might be wondering how I know that. Often you'll find elephant bulls either alone or you'll find them in bachelor herds, which is all males together, younger males. You don't often see older males within a herd unless the male is in must or is ready to mate. Then he'll go into the herd for a couple of days, mate, and then leave. But I mean, these two elephant bulls look quite young. I mean, just looking at their body size, their tusks. Let's see now if they have a bit of a standoff. You can see they're almost sizing one another up there. It seems like that smaller one of the two is actually starting to now move off. Sometimes what you see with elephants, especially younger male elephants, is they'll often sort of spar with one another. And so what they do is they'll often push and shove one another around, but also they can size each other up. Often what they do is they'll take their heads and put them together, and often the they'll then put their tusks, try and touch the other one with their tusks. And often the one with the longer tusks will touch first and the other one won't be able to touch. And often then that smaller one will start to then move off. I mean, it's not a massive fight for now, but things do get quite intense. You can imagine 6 tons of elephant running against 6 tons of elephants would be quite an incredible clash. Lady B, you saying, "Hey Chad, so good to have you again. Looking forward to having a great show." Lady B, thank you very much for watching, and I do look forward to a great show. Hopefully, we can see some interesting and incredible things in the next little while. Rian, you are asking, how do you tell if it's a friendly or hostile encounter? So, Rian, if it's a hostile encounter, you'll often see they trumpet quite a lot, but they also will clash heads and tusks a lot more, and they'll be very aggressive towards one another. Whereas if it's a friendly encounter, like this one was a friendly encounter, you saw the one shook its head at one another, at the other one, and they just clashed tusks once or twice, and then moved off. And I mean, often if it is a hostile encounter, you'll often see that even if the one's running away, the bigger, more dominant one will often follow him and try and chase him further and further away. So, I mean, a friendly encounter is just one or two little pushes around, and then it's all over. But Rian, also, you'll definitely be able to tell if it's a hostile fight. To see two elephant bulls fight is quite an incredible sight. Pete Thorne, you're saying good morning, Chad, from a very chilly UK. Good morning from a little overcast Johannesburg. Um, I do believe the weather all around the UK and in most of Europe is quite chilly this morning. A lot of the places are in the minuses, and I'm quite glad at the moment that I'm not anywhere near that weather. I do definitely prefer the sunny South Africa. And Pete, if you do want to get out of that chilly UK weather, you should definitely make a trip down to South Africa or Southern Africa and come get the sunshine. You can see now that one elephant bull's actually moved off from the water, and this one has now come back. I wonder if he might have another drink, or maybe he just wants to go in a different direction. It does look like quite a young elephant bull. I mean, if you do see those tusks, they're not too big at the moment. They are quite thick, but as this elephant grows a lot older, then those tusks will then start to grow out.
Are you a wildlife fanatic, glued to YouTube for your daily dose of animal antics? Then welcome to Africam's wildlife community. By joining our YouTube memberships, you get no ads, just wild live streams, chat with other bush fans, get early access to exciting camera spots, and flex your wildlife knowledge with fun quizzes. Visit Africam's YouTube channel and click the join button now.
does almost look like this elephant that we're looking at now. The tusk closest to us is actually broken off. And sometimes you'll find with elephant bulls that, there we go, got a nice little zoom in photo or picture there. And often you'll find that elephants, sometimes what happens is sometimes from fighting. So we saw a little friendly encounter there, but also what happens is elephants, they often will debark trees. And so what they do is they'll use their tusk in order to break off the bark of a tree, and then also use their tusk to break the inner layer of the tree called the cambium layer. And what they're trying to do is get to that cambium layer in order to eat the very nutrient rich cambium layer. I mean, that's the layer that takes all the necessary nutrients and water from this roots all the way up into the leaves. So you can imagine that that's the most nutritious part of the tree. And also, if you are a regular Live at the Waterhole viewer, the other day we were speaking about also elephants being right and left-handed. So often they'll favor one side of their tusks, or left or right. So this elephant, just looking at him, most likely a right-handed or favors the right-hand side. How beautiful is that view though? Incredible mountain range in the background, the waterhole, and a lovely young elephant pool. Awesome way to start the show today. And I'm sure as it does start to heat up, there will be some more elephants that come down towards the water to have their morning or mid-morning drink. John Bunny, you're saying elephants are so calming that you absolutely adore them. I agree. I love elephants. I could spend a whole afternoon or whole morning just following a herd of elephants feeding. And, you know, they're often always up to something. They're always feeding, they're pushing one another around, chasing one another. The youngsters might be chasing birds around, or maybe even some ground birds like guinea fowl or something like that. So they are very entertaining. And Jai Bunny, I don't know if you have ever been to South Africa, but if not, if you do adore them as much on Live at the Waterhole, you should definitely get yourself down to South Africa and go on a safari. I think you would really, really enjoy that. Bunny, thanks very much for answering my question. You're saying yes, that you've been to the Kruger area and Botswana. I'm very glad. So you know what it is like to see elephants in person, and those are probably two of the best areas to see elephants. Kruger Park has a very, very good population of elephants, and Botswana also. Botswana, there's elephants roaming basically everywhere. Even sometimes driving through a town, you might even come across an elephant, especially up in the northern parts of Botswana, up towards the Chobe side into Kaswane. There's often elephant herds that move through and around that town quite often. Timothy, you are asking how self-aware would you say elephants are? Would they have personalities like us? So I definitely think elephants do have personalities. I think a lot of different animals out in the African bush have personalities. I mean, just for like an example, lots of leopards, people often follow leopards and know which leopard is which just by the spot patternings. And they all have different personalities. I mean, some like to climb up trees for fun, some chase little birds. Um, so elephants, I definitely think they would have personalities. Some elephants are a little bit more excited than others. Some are maybe a little bit more reserved. So for sure, elephants will have personalities and also show emotions. I mean, elephants, they often say that if an elephant's showing emotion, either happy or sad, that their temporal glands, so the glands just behind the eyes, will often leak. And often it happens in elephant bulls where the temporal glands will leak when they are in must, but also showing emotion. So you might see if the elephant's maybe stressed, her temporal glands might even be leaking. Daphne, you're saying that the swallows calling in the background are almost futuristic. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. They do almost sound like something from the future coming out. And the swallows, maybe they're building their nests quite close to where this camera and microphone is, and that's maybe why we can hear them quite loud. Have a look how that elephant's now lifting his trunk up. I wonder if maybe if we try and zoom out a little bit, maybe if there's another elephant coming down towards the water, or maybe that elephant can smell another elephant. Often they'll lift their trunk up like that if they pick up the scent of something else. It seems like that elephant is now done with his drink, and after chasing off that other smaller elephant bull, he's now going to continue with his day. I think maybe heading into those thicker areas to go and feed. It does seem like the wind is picking up a little bit, and Doesn't seem like there's too much bird life or anything like that happening around the water for now. But at Jamala, often we get the warthogs that come down to drink, zebras, and great big herds of elephants. So we'll definitely keep an eye out and see if anything interesting does come down towards the water to have a drink. And from school, so I'm glad he's sitting down watching live at the Waterhole. You see that elephant now? It's quite tough to see, but he's resting under the shade of that tree. Might be a marula tree. And often the marula trees at this time of year, they're producing fruit. And those fruits are very, very nutrient rich. So those elephants will often feed on those marulas. It's always nice and calming just to be at a waterhole like this. And even if there's nothing really going on, there is always something. You never know what may be behind the next tree. You never know what's coming down towards the water. So as this elephant wanders off into the thicker bush, why don't we leave Jamala and head over to Madikwe? Sorry, head over to Juma and see what the day is looking like. So there you can see that the weather is completely different in the Sabi Sands private game reserve at Juma compared to Madikwe. There's a lot of wind. It does seem like this waterhole is a little bit quiet, but it's understandable. Often when there's quite a lot of wind like this, animals don't tend to come down towards the water. Also, it's not very hot, so I mean they're able to feed a lot longer, and often they do tend to spend time within thicker areas. So they might be a little bit vulnerable when they do come down towards the water, but things like lions, leopards, this is often a good time for them to be hunting. Often a lot of the smaller animals like impalas and things like that will be standing in a thicker area, being a little bit nervous with this wind. And so often predators can stalk up a lot closer to them. And often you find after a lot of rain and a lot of wind, the next day, often you find leopards in trees with carcasses. I know from my time working in the Sabi Sands, a little bit further south from where Juma is, on Mala Mala Game Reserve, often after a very rainy evening, I would always be so excited to get out, hopefully be the first one out, and just go and see what's happened. A lot of the time you'd find lions on a kill, leopards in trees with kills. So it was always exciting to get out there, and it's always the most exciting part, is being the first one out, the first one to see what's been happening while everybody's been sleeping the night before. Bill, you saying GM, Luyanda, and Chad, what a great way to start your day from your side of this rock, seeing these beautiful sights from South Africa. I'm glad you are enjoying the show, Bill, and keep those questions and comments coming through. I'm loving interacting with everybody while they are enjoying this live at the Waterhole show. It's been quite an incredible start with those two elephants down at Jamala, having a bit of a friendly tussle with one another. Now we're just currently at Juma Private Game Reserve, where we are just listening to, the wind, and also Woodland's kingfisher in the background. David, you are asking if predators would use the wind, noise, and direction to their advantage in this weather. 100%, you are definitely correct in saying that. Often, I mean, even on a calm day, where the wind is like a gentle breeze, often lions and leopards will often take into consideration the wind and where it's blowing, even lions. And so often on a day like today, what often happens is, for example, if there's a big herd of impala and a leopard hunting them, often that leopard will stalk up towards those impalas, and the impalas will pick up the scent of that leopard. But what happens is the impalas don't know where that scent is coming from. So it often will then startle them. So then often what happens is some will run left, some will run right, some will go up, some will go down. And so it often then gives a good opportunity for the leopard to be able to hunt. And I mean, sometimes I've seen it before in my years guiding, on rainy days and windy days. Sometimes an impala literally will literally run into the claws or the mouth of a lion or a leopard just because it is so nervous and doesn't know exactly where that predator is. So it does seem like the rain has started again at Juma. Also, with a lot of wind, it doesn't seem like there's too much happening around the water here. Why don't we leave Juma and head back over to Jamala, where it's a little bit more sunny. It is a little bit more peaceful here at Jamala. In Madikwe, there's not too much wind or rain. We've got a herd of zebra that have come down for their drink. So it seems like there's a quite a big elephant bull now coming down towards the water there, just in the left of the screen. Catherine, you saying beautiful scenery? 100%. It's always incredible just to take in the scenery. Um, there are times when you are on safari that there's not too much happening, and it's always nice just to stop at a viewpoint overlooking a nice big area, vast area, and just enjoy the views and the sounds of nature. It almost looked there like this elephant looked at the camera, said cheese, and then went back down. But you can tell that this is definitely a different elephant. I mean, look how different the tusks are compared to the one that we were just with. And it actually does look like a female. If you look at the forehead there, very, very straight, and it's got very thin, narrow tusks. And then it is in fact a male. Apologies. You can see it is the rounded forehead. Just there, when from that angle, it did look like a female. And often, the easiest way to tell is the tusks and then the forehead. The male has a very rounded forehead, where the female's got a very, very straight, almost a 90-degree forehead.
"2024 is here, and it's sure to be our best year yet. Come along and join us on the 21st of January for a company update town hall that's open to all registered viewers. We will update our viewers on where we are, discuss what's to come in the new year, and answer any questions. Watch it live on the WildEarth app. WildEarth, connecting with nature.
How incredible is that, everybody? The two giraffes coming down to the water to drink. Does look like a mother and calf. Have a look there how the youngsters drinking and mom's now turned around and looking. It's often a very vulnerable time, especially for giraffes, to be drinking. I mean, if you look at the way they do drink, it's quite tough for them to get those long necks down towards the water. And I mean, it also takes a lot of effort for them to drink. Very, very special to see. It's not something that you see very often, giraffes drinking. Jive Bunny, how precious is this? A young giraffe with its mother coming down to the water to drink. Edith J, you are wondering how long it takes a giraffe to start walking from birth. Um, to be honest with you, I think probably around about 40 minutes. Um, it's quite a vulnerable time of its life when it is just first born. So a lot of these herbivores that are prey for the predators, it doesn't take them too long to be able to stand up, but I would say probably about 40 minutes. It probably will take its first steps maybe 20 minutes or so, but it will often then fall down, stumble, fall down, and then after about 40-45 minutes, it will be able to then walk. It will still be a little bit wobbly for a couple of days while it's just finding its feet, but it will be able to walk and keep up with the mother or with the herd as they are moving to different areas to feed. Yeah, Edith, it is much more impressive than us humans. I mean, even if you think about it, lions, for example. I mean, when lion cubs are born, for the first couple of weeks, their eyes are closed. They can pretty much do nothing. Um, they just roll around in the den, crying for mom, crying for milk. Whereas us humans, it also takes about a year for us to walk. Whereas something like a giraffe or impala, within 40 minutes, they're able to get up and walk. And it's just because of where they are in the food chain. Um, if you think about it, I mean, giraffes, they are uh, prey for lions. I mean, even like impalas prey for lions, leopards, cheetahs, wild dogs, things like that. So they have to be able to move and groove quite quickly. Starbuck, you wondering how often do giraffes have to drink? So giraffes, in fact, they're not water dependent, so they don't depend on water. They will, however, drink when they can, um, sometimes once a day, but they can, in fact, go weeks at a time without any water. And the trees that these giraffes feed on, a lot of the acacia trees or acacia species, there's a lot of nutrients and a lot of water within the leaves that they're feeding on. So they do get a lot of their moisture from that. But also, a giraffe in Afrikaans is called a kameelperd, which refers to camel horse. So, camel also they don't have to drink very very often. They're able to store water just like a giraffe. Jason found you wondering how long this water source will last. So, Jason, this water source is actually pumped from a borehole, so there will constantly be water within this water hole. Yeah, where we are in Namibia. I mean, it often will be on a solar panel, so the hotter it is, the more water that gets pumped out. But just often, if you are in areas that are fenced off, and once humans fence off an area, those animals are unable to migrate into different areas where they're able to then go find fresher water and fresher food and things like that. So as soon as you do that, you do have to then put um, artificial water sources in, such as this water hole here that we are looking at. Amazing that this young giraffe has actually stayed behind from its mom. Often you see them right next to one another, but maybe it is pretty thirsty. Let's see if it does have another drink. It'll be interesting to see if it does, because now that it's by itself with the water, it's much more vulnerable. Gareth, you also say now that it looks like this baby has been left behind, but I wouldn't say that it's been left behind. I know I did just say that, but you can see mom was just off to the right in picture, and it's quite a nice big open area. Being an extremely tall animal, that giraffes will be able to see quite a fair distance. So she may feel safe that there's no potential threat or predator that's around, and she can then just move off slowly. And I'm sure after this next drink, maybe this young giraffe will head over towards mom. But let's just watch and see what plays out here. Young giraffe does seem like it's quite interested in something on the other side of the water, closest to where we are, but maybe it might just be some birds that might be fluttering around, or maybe the springbok that have come down to the water to drink.
Are you a wildlife fanatic, glued to YouTube for your daily dose of animal antics? Then, welcome to Africam's wildlife community. By joining our YouTube memberships, you get no ads, just wild live streams, chat with other bush fans, get early access to exciting camera spots, and flex your wildlife knowledge with fun quizzes. Visit Africam's YouTube channel and click the join button now.
So now it does seem like the two giraffe have met up again, the mother and calf. It's nice to see that she didn't leave the youngster behind at the water. You see, now they're both actually feeding on that same tree. It almost seems like the youngsters copying what mom's doing. And often that's how these animals out here will learn different techniques and things like that. And often things like young lions will see mom chasing after an impala or something like that. And then all they want to do is then chase after something. As soon as it moves, that's when the youngsters get very curious, and can often be quite entertaining to be with a lion pride with some youngsters, or even a female cheetah with some youngsters. I've seen it a couple of times before where young cheetah will often follow or try and hunt something like a black belly bastard, which is a decent sized ground dwelling bird. And the cheetah cubs will often chase it. That black belly bastard will then fly up into the air and maybe 70 or 80 meters away and then land. And the cheetah will then run again. And I've seen them often run for hundreds of meters chasing after a bird that's got wings and able to just fly away. Can be extremely entertaining. Lady B, you asking me what are some of my favorite desert animals to go and see? Um, so up at Swali, my favorite animals that I would like to see or got to see was definitely, I mean, you can see them in different places, but especially there would be aardvark or pangolin. Also, you get the bat-eared foxes and Cape foxes up in that area. Also, I really got to spend a lot of time with meerkats. Meerkats was an incredible one to be able to see, and those were probably my favorites, to be honest. I had a lot of my friends saying that when I was there up at Swali, I'd post on Instagram quite often about the meerkats, and a lot of my friends said to me, do your guests see anything else at Swali, or is it just the meerkats? They are extremely entertaining. Liam, you're asking what predators occur here, and are these animals not highly vulnerable? So this waterhole where we are now at the moment is a waterhole situated within Etosha, which is a national park. And I mean, you will get predators such as lions, leopards, cheetahs, and hyenas. So, I mean, I wouldn't say they're very vulnerable right now, but they are definitely vulnerable. Um, the only thing with a wide open, vast area like this is that the animals are able to see quite a distance. So a lot of the animals, like cheetah and lions, I mean, or for lions, for example, they need to get quite close to the predator, the prey, before they pounce. And so this would be not a great area for lions to hunt. Also, I mean, cheetah, it might be a good area for cheetah to hunt. But if you do see now, as we're looking at these springbok drinking, it is also a very rocky area. So, I mean, for something like a cheetah running 120 kilometers an hour trying to chase a springbok, there might not be the best grip, but also there's a good chance that that cheetah may get injured. So what might happen is you might find cheetahs and lions that might lie on the outskirts of this waterhole, and then once a springbuck or gemsbok has finished drinking and has moved off now into the thicker bush, that's when you might find that they might hunt. But it's not often that you'll see them hunting around a waterhole like this. Johan, are you asking when will the pan have water? This pan will have water throughout the year. Um, if you have just tuned in, we were speaking a little bit earlier about that this waterhole is in fact pumped. So once you do have a fence around the property, you do then have to put artificial water in, just because those animals would normally have migrated vast distances in order to find water. Um, and once you do then put a fence around, you limit the movement of that animal. So you then do have to put in some artificial water holes. Drive, are you saying that they used to have Tswalu on drives and that you missed those meerkats? 100%. The Tswalu did used to be on WildEarth, but it's a very tough area for filming. Um, there's not too much signal out in the Kalahari. So there was only certain small areas where they were able to operate, and luckily the place where the meerkats often spent time, there was signal, so you were able to see a lot of those meerkats. But out in the other areas, it was very tough for them to be able to film. Bushranger, you are wondering if the male and female springbuck have horns? Indeed, they do. So both male and female springbucks have horns. The main difference is that the male springbuck's horns are a lot thicker compared to the females. The females got very thin horns, and that's mainly for fighting purposes. I mean, springbucks will often fight one another for the herd, so that's why their horns are a lot thicker, whereas the females, they don't do any fighting. That's why they've got smaller horns. And Liam, you are wondering, are there white lions here in Etosha? No, there's no white lions up in Etosha National Park in Namibia. The only white lions that are in the wild are within Kruger National Park. So there's two, there's actually in fact now three white lions up in Ngala, which is in the Timbavati and beyond Ngala. They have three. And then there's also another white lion that's a very well-known big male lion called Casper, who's a little bit further north in the Kruger National Park, in and around the area called Satara. So if you are ever in South Africa and you do visit Kruger National Park, make sure you do spend a little bit of time within the Satara area. Casper's a beautiful white lion, or beautiful lion, but it's incredible to see that that white line. And then if you are planning a safari, Liam, you can also then travel to Ambion and Gala, where those white lines are within a pride called the Birmingham Pride. And most of their territory is on Ngala. So there's a very good chance that you will get to see those white lines. It's not guaranteeing that you'll see them, but because they do move over to different properties, as there's no fences around the area where Ngala is. So you just need to be very lucky and hope that the Birmingham Pride is on the property, or if not, they haven't killed something like a buffalo where they might be there for 2 or 3 days.
When we started our donation drive on the 28th of December, we'd hoped to raise $15,000 for critically needed technical equipment. Your generosity has seen us raise more than $50,000 from 400 amazing supporters. Needless to say, we're overwhelmed and massively grateful. Two incredible viewers, GC and Bramble1, donated $5,000 and $15,000 respectively. Our profound thanks to each and every one of you.
So that big elephant bull doesn't seem like he wants to be on camera. He spent a little bit of time at the water before we got here, and just as we crossed over, he started to move away. See, there's a Cape Glossy starling in the tree there. I know the camera is zoomed in quite a lot. beautiful iridescent colors. So there's a Cape Glossy starling that we've managed to find in one of the trees around this waterhole, which is a little bit far away, but it's a beautiful iridescent blue color. And often when the sun shines on this bird, it's got a beautiful bluish, purple, violety color to it. It's a beautiful bird to see. I know the other day there was at Rosie's Pan, there was a violet-backed starling, which is another one of the starlings, but also a beautiful color to it. Beautiful violet back and then the white chest. Very, very beautiful birds and to see. Often you'll see these starlings in trees and things like that, and often they're looking for nesting areas. So often what they'll do is they'll nest in crevices within the trees. You often then will see male and female coming back towards the nest to go and feed the youngsters. Very similar to hornbills. But what hornbills do is often they'll find quite a big hole within a tree. The female will then go inside that hole, and what the male will do is then he'll patch up around that hole and only leave quite a thin slit down the middle of that hole, just the size of that beak of theirs. And what that male will then do is he'll actually feed the female. So he'll go out looking for insects and things like that, and he'll then come back and feed the female through that little hole that is left. And then once there's a little zebra. Once those young hornbills are ready to take flight, the female will then break open that muddy part of the tree, and they'll then be able to fly away. We've got one lonely zebra coming down towards the water hole to drink. Sarah, you are wondering why they changed the names of lories to tarocas and go the go-away bird. To be honest with you, I mean, a lot of these birds get renamed as there's more studies and scientific studies done on them. Um, they might fit into there are some more zebras. They might fit into a different class or subspecies with a different bird, maybe overseas. But also sometimes they do just rename birds. They simply will rename it in the line of the international naming conventions. So I mean, every year different birds might get into, on some birds might be classified in different classes and things like that. But there's a lot of studies that will go on before they do just change a bird name. Me being a guide in the last 8 years or so, with all the different bird names changing, I think I've probably bought 5 or 6 different bird books. Also with the weather, lots of rain and sun and things like that, those bird books do get quite worn out quite quickly. So they've been able to make quite a fortune off a lot of the guides changing bird names and having us keep up to date with those new name changes.
We all know the struggle of finding the perfect gift. But what if you could give them an unforgettable experience? Something truly extraordinary. Introducing Nature Eye. Fly a real drone remotely at iconic locations, witnessing the beauty of nature like never before. Sign up to be an explorer and you could win one of these experiences yourself. Visit natureeye.com today.
The young zebra foal that we've just zoomed into now. You can see it almost looks still a little bit fluffy. Often when zebras are born, they're extremely fluffy, and as they grow older, they'll then start to grow out of that young fluff of theirs. Just beautiful animals though. Have a look at those stripes. And it's quite incredible if you look at those stripes and how the white and black stripes go straight into the mane. And often when you see zebras, there's often not one hair that's misplaced. They all line up perfectly. It's just incredible to see. Also very, very unique, all these stripes. Two different zebras. There'll not be one zebra that you'll see that will be exactly the same as another one. Often they say when a young zebra is within a herd, so 20 or 30 other zebras, often it's not the scent that the youngster will be able to pick up which is its mother. Often they'll look at the shoulder of the mom. Often when they're very young, that's exactly where their eyes are, at the height of the shoulder. And so they're able to then distinguish the different patterns on the shoulder of a zebra. And that's how they're then able to distinguish if that might be mom or not. I find that quite fascinating. It does seem like this is actually a male, female, and then a youngster. And I wonder if maybe this is in a small little family. I mean, there are some more zebras, but this may be the male leader of this harem. He's just keeping a close eye on his youngster. You can see those zebras are now slowly starting to move off, and it is now 1 o'clock, and we're going to now introduce Africams. I just want to thank Africams for coming on board with WildEarth and being able to expand to different locations throughout Southern Africa. So thank you once again to Africams.